We are really glad to welcome Richardson Toka from Vanuatu here tonight, and he's come to speak about some of the work that is done by Churches of Christ in Vanuatu. But there will also be an opportunity for us to have conversation with Richardson. So Richardson, can I just invite you up to come and join me for a little while, and you can sit on that one and I'll sit on this one. And this is Richardson. Welcome, Richardson. He's come all the way to speak to us tonight, all the way from Ferry Drive anyway. So, Richardson, I wondered if you could just describe your role currently with the Vanuatu Conference. You're the Secretary General, and could you tell us, what does that mean?
Thank you. Just before we continue, I'd just like to thank you very much for the warm welcome. And thank you to be with you, brothers and sisters. Brings greetings from Churches of Christ in Vanuatu to the Churches of Christ here in Elizabeth Church. Is that?
This is Victor Harbour?
Victor Harbour, sorry.
You've been around.
Yeah, Victor Harbour, Churches of Christ. It's been so good to be with you. And of course, I know that most of you have fallen in love with Vanuatu in many ways. You have been a blessing to the Churches of Christ in Vanuatu in many ways, through your prayers, through your support, and greetings from all the Churches of Christ in Vanuatu. We have about 102 congregations in Vanuatu, the Churches of Christ located from south to north. And yeah, thank you for your prayers. I'm Richardson Toka, my surname Toka. Married with 2 kids and 1 wife. Yeah, that's right. And my kids are 7 and 4 years old. Both of them are attending schools. The last one, by the name of Julian Mark, is 4, attending a preschool. And Narayan there, named after a friend of mine from Fiji, an Indian, who had been a coach, spiritual coach for me. And Narayan is in grade 1. I served in the Churches of Christ as the Secretary General. Let me say it will be the same position that John Gilmore have here in Australia as a CEO, but we call that as Secretary General. Probably looking over the office administrative matters with all the churches throughout Vanuatu, taking minutes and so forth in all the meetings, but there are more than that. Organizing the churches, organizing the offices. I had 6 officers who were working with me. I could say that we are what they call gender equity. We have 3 men and 3 female. Yeah. And our president, actually, she's not in the office, but that would be 4 female, but she's not full-time in the office. The president of the Churches of Christ, by the name of Stella Tabu.
Thank you. So, what brought you to Australia this time, Richardson? I know you've been in Australia several times before, but this time you have come particularly at the invitation of Global Mission Partners. Is that right?
Well,
yeah, I've been invited. Actually, I've been so happy to be with all the churches throughout the world that GMP had been sending missionaries throughout the world, and Vanuatu is one of them. Working along with GMP, being our partners in many ways, it has been a blessing. For the last few days, I had a chance to meet the board members, the GMP board members who we have met yesterday, and she was here with us. The other day it was kind of a planning process and discussions over the life of GMB. And I'm glad to be there with them, hearing what GMB had been doing and some of the plannings that they had. And I'm glad that you are part of us, and especially for the Churches of Christ in Vanuatu to be with you.
Can I ask why there's a road round one side of the island and not round the other?
Well, looking at this,
Would you like to talk about Tanner now, and I'll ask you
Sure.
some questions later? Go for it.
let me see. Most of my talking this afternoon, and then Sars will come later on, maybe or maybe you can ask more questions of that. Tana, I believe our churches in here with Elizabeth Church and Victor Harbour churches, who have been involved a lot with the ministry in Tana particularly. And I guess it's important to share with you some of the things that Tana is doing, and you have been a blessing to Tana in many ways. Okay, to come to your question, well, you can see that sometimes in Vanuatu there's a middle bush. That's what they usually say. Our brothers and sisters here would let you know that when the people say in the middle bush, it means that in some other islands, you can't hardly see roads going there. But for Tana Island, roads are everywhere. There's roads even to the middle bush where you can go by a transport. That's what the main transportation. Now they usually have a minibuses to take you all around. Well, with the island here, the question is, why they didn't have the roads all around? In fact, there is a road. There is a road. Maybe you can see. Sorry, how did you do that? Is there a point for something?
The red dot. Red dot.
Okay. Oh, excellent. You see this one? And there's lots and lots of, maybe it's not mentioned here, it's not indicated, but there's a road actually. I don't know how many years is that they have been taking this picture, but there is a road all around town at the moment. Maybe this one has been taken some years ago when there is no road there. You can go around Tana by vehicles at the moment. And there's lots of paths, that can use by horses, and path where you can walk. I'm sorry, where am I?
No, there's a smartphone, isn't it?
All the people are everywhere. Unlike other islands in Vanuatu. In Tana is the most populated island. I think it's the fastest growing fastest growing population, in Tana. More than any other islands in Vanuatu. Apart from Evate, the capital, because there's so many people from different islands who come and live in Evate. But Tana, the people, they have so many people living throughout Vanuatu. It's kind of a Chinese, Chinese are everywhere in the world, so Tana is everywhere in Vanuatu. And they are the most populated island. These dots here is talking about the churches. At the moment we have 4 churches. Leniai, and then we had Bangkor, we had Eginin, we had Imara. This one, there's another one here, sorry. It has been taken over by Apostolic Church. It used to be the Churches of Christ. I don't know what happened. but they still working together with the Churches of Christ. They're still part of us. Though it has been administered and looking after by a different pastor, Apostolic Church, but they're still working together with the Churches of Christ in Vanuatu. This is the terminal for Tana. When you come to Tana, that's the terminal building. Those of you who travel to Tana knew that. I think one of the well-known activity in Tana is volcano. That it attracts many visitors to Tana. Almost every day there is a tourist. So many tourists, they travel to Tana because of this active volcano. How many of you have been there? Three of them there. Yeah, it's amazing how God created the world and this to be part of that. And lately you have seen the Hawaiian volcano in the TV. It's very dangerous, is it? In Tana, I've been there a couple of times in the evening until at night to see the lights of that. I guess our brothers here would have some clips of the eruptions and all this. It's been a great joy being there. This is just a part of where you can see, before you climb on top, you can see this. Or even before you're running towards the volcano, you can watch this. This is just the eruption. Tana had a very good congregation, made up of young people and old people. Those people who are standing at the back with certificates are Sunday school teachers. We have been trained them for a couple of days, and we certify them, telling them, okay, you can do that, you can teach the Sunday school. In fact, some of them have never been a teacher of the Sunday school, and they've been blessed by the teachings that we have given them to train as a Sunday school teacher. And most of the leaders here were either deacon or deaconess, elders, or pastor. This elder, by the name of Lomai, William Lomai, he is the senior elder throughout Tana. And they reckon that he was the pioneer. He is the first elder who bring the churches to Tana with the help of other older people who were there before him. This is Equilibrium Church. It's just beside Isla Church. Isla Primary School, sorry. You can see, the church there in Tana, they are not built with tin or iron roofs or something. They are purely local materials, made of bamboo, and on top you can see these ones are coconut leaves. Coconut leaves are not last. They only last for a year or so. They could change them over and over again. But the frames of the church will be there a couple of years. They will only change the leaves. And they've been requesting, they were looking forward to have some iron roofs to build their church. With the iron roofs, they will only use the local materials and only the tins, to be there for longer period than the coconut leaves. That's what they are trying to do. This one is just inside. You can see from the inside how it looks like. They didn't have benches, they didn't have chairs. They just sit on the mat and worship. They had a table of communion in front of them, and they had some benches around the building, but in the middle, when plenty people come inside, they can sit just on the mat. Unlike other churches, they have all the good equipment so they could sit, but they had very good leadership there who had been blessed on the heart of other churches as well.
How do you sit on a mat? Do you cross your legs?
Yeah, sure.
So many South Australians can't cross their legs.
I know. But many of them, they come with their straight leg like this. And they could sit there not for long times. You can see them, changing around in many times, but that isn't doing any harm. You can sit anyhow you like. But there is a proper benches around the church that you can sit on. I guess if you come over, they won't make you sit down there. They would treat you special to sit on a bed somewhere. And this is Bangkok Church of Christ. It has been built many years, very slowly to complete. Pastor Ebol, he's the one who's looking after the church in Bangkok. At the moment, he left to New Zealand for seasonal working, apple picking and all this, to help continue finishing the building. And he's been doing great. With the assistance of his cousin or his brother, they have been together, go to New Zealand, work, get some money, come to complete all this building. This is a very new area called Imaran. Very interesting story I will tell you later on by the name of Willie, very young man who had been led the church until it's opened in first June this year. And you can see the church building is all local material. This is a bamboo, and this is coconut leaves. And inside it's all about the same thing, sitting down, and they had some benches around as well. You can see here, they're sitting down. This is outside, not inside, but that's how they use the same thing inside the building. It's a very a new church in the western of Tana. It's not far from the volcano. In fact, where you sit around this church, you could see all the ashes of the volcano were everywhere. And it's very dangerous sometimes, with their gardening. It disturbing their cabbages and all the plants. But they continue living there. And this village is the largest village that has been there under what we call a custom village. They didn't want any Christianity people or the Christian people to come in. For a long time, they've been with a cult called John Frum. And John Frum is a cult of a Kaku cult, and it is from a US, America. And they didn't want to participate in any religious activities. And Willie, one day, he came to the market in Elankel, where he met Elder William and the pastor Sam. They shared with him in the market house. They led him to the Lord, and he invited the Churches of Christ to come to Imaran. It is not easy because where you have to go through chief from this village. The chief had to allow them to come. If he didn't allow them, they wouldn't do this. It takes pretty a long time for these discussions for the chief to say, okay. It's a very long story how Willie had consistently wanted the church to be there. Several times he went to see the chief, and the chief said, no, I am the boss. I wouldn't allow any other churches to come to interfere with a chiefly kind of life, with custom activities. I am the boss here. It's the supreme person inside the community. Inside the community, he looked after about 500 to 600 people who live in spread throughout the communities. And they have been praying over this for many months. Over a year, they have been praying over this. And one day, Willie and Elder William and Pastor Sam, they planned to go to meet the chief. They go with some presentations in the local way of doing things. They get some maps, some other things, to go and present to the chief, to say that we want to be here. Because Willie has been a member of this community, and through Willie, they go to the chief, and the chief, graciously, the Lord had been worked through this way of communications, and the chief said, okay, now I accept you to come. And when he accepted them to come, they had been a blessing. We've been paid several visits. This is a village where this community has been located. Village life of these people here, they live in a wild cane buildings. That's how they build their homes. Their kitchen is all with local material. From ages to ages, they have been there with these local materials. This is Elder William and Whitnor. He's from another island but resides in Tana because he married to a lady from Tana, and they have been there for many years. He helped a lot of help with the Churches of Christ in Tana, both in the churches and also in the school. You can see here how the kids were living in there. That's how they lived. Before, they didn't use clothing that we used to use, but now they have been slowly, they have this kind of clothes that we usually wear. Willie, this young man I will show you later on, had a very big vision about the new place of Tana, Imara. He had a young boy, I don't know how many years, about 14 or 15 years old. He was in a high school, and he wanted him to go to a Bible college that he could lead the community. Because in the village, the students were not educated like other villages. And very few students, very few kids, they now attending schools. Lately, they have understood that education is important. And Willie had a very big vision. The last time when we went there, we had some training. He had to excuse the teacher of his son to let his son come into the training. And he said he wants to take out his son from school to go to a Bible college. And I said, it's very important for him to educate him, and you can do that later on. But he decided that after he finishes his year 10 or so, he would let his son to go to a Bible college to be a leader in that community. Because most of these people who live in the community, they wouldn't know Islam. Most of them, they wouldn't know English. And every time we visited them, there is always interpreter. Those who understand, like Elder William, can interpret to them in their language. It's not that easy, but thank God that the Lord had allowed us to go there through Willie. This one I'm talking about is Willie, his name. And Willie is a very young man. He loved the Lord. He had been baptized. After when this good news has been spread in the community with the help of his wife. The Lord has graciously blessed the life of the community. Not long ago, the chief baptized. And that is a very good news for the churches in Tana and for the whole Churches of Christ in Vanuatu. Because through the chief, others as well, he invited them, come. There is a hope. There is a life. And the chief is helping Willie to spread the good news. Instead of other people coming to their village, they do it. And that is great. And it's very encouraging to see that Willie is on top, on his foot, to do the works that he had been doing. This is the chief that Whitnall had been posted, and Willie is behind. And this chief, when we were there, we had some talk with him, and he's really enthusiastic about Jesus, about God. He loved the Lord. And he said, I would never regret to allow you to come. And he had been a blessing to the churches in Tana. Here, this is Linear Church. These leaders who stand there, they stand, there are 3 Imarab youths in the middle who are going through baptism. We had a last meeting in September. They have been reporting that almost every week there is baptism, every Sunday. Baptism for the people of Imarab who had been listening to the gospel. There is a very powerful testimony of the people of Imarab. Here, this is a place where they're baptized. It's pretty a long way to walk to, but they have been enjoying, they long to, after they have heard the gospel. And Elder Willie and all these young people, a mixture of young people from Imarab and as well in Lenai, who had been coming down to Lenai to go to a baptism service. Then we come to Eastern School. That's where our primary school is. Begins around in early 1980s. Over 30 years, the school had been began by our local missionaries from the northern part of Vanuatu who had been visited Tana many years ago. And with all the local missionaries who had been there, they managed to set up churches, and as well the Isla School come to be because the people of Tana at the time they couldn't learn anything, so they started a kind of literature activities, teach them how to read, and it turned out to be school to them. And that has been a blessing to the church, especially in Tana. Our friends here who have been here, they have been helped. I know you have been supporting this, and thank you very much. For the churches in Elizabeth Church and the churches here in, what do you call it again? Victor Harbour. That has been a blessing to this island of Tana. These buildings have been built by you people. Thank you. I know yesterday we had a talk, and more they had been decided to come over to continue with that. At the moment we had grade 4. For many years it has been there, kindy to grade 3, then grade 4. Now the community of the island of Tana, the island conference that we called, had a vision to continue with that. Next year they are looking to have grade 5. By 2016 it will be a complete primary school to have grade 1 to grade 6. And then later on, we want that to go on, even to high school to year 10, if God willing. And we thank you that your support has been a great blessing to the churches, especially in Tana. You can see here how the kids are very grateful. They are so enthusiastic. They are very happy for us to be there. And when we try to take their pictures, they were so happy, gathered together, pointing at the camera. And they're so happy actually. These are the teachers that we usually have. We had 3 teachers, and this one, she used to be the head teacher before. But now, the province of Tabea, Tana, they elected her to be the zone advisor. They call ZTA, zone advisor. She advises all the teachers around Tabea in one particular area. And this lady, she is the new headmistress, Baby Tuku. She is the new headmistress. And this brother, both of them, Bethy and John, if I'm right, they were both government-paid teachers. And it is the first time ever that Isla School have 2 teachers from the government. And that is a blessing for the Churches of Christ, especially in Tana. This girl here is in high school leaver, and they take her to assist the teachers there in a position that the school had to pay her, the community paid her regularly or monthly. And the missing teacher was a kindy teacher. She's not there. But otherwise, this is the school of Isangel. Sorry, not Isangel, sorry, Isla. And this is inside the kindy house. This is the kindy. And our teams who have been gathered some ideas, they're planning to have a new building, if I'm correct. And thank you that you can be a very good support to this program. These are all the kids. This year we had over 100 kids. Tana is a very populated island. There's so many kids who had never been to school. Our aim is that to make sure that students, kids who had been around the community, who had never gone to school, we want to take them in. While we were there early this year, the headmistress said almost every week, new students, new kids coming in. 104, it's back in February. I'm not sure, maybe now there's so many kids because the principal, the headmistress said every week there's more new students. And I never had a update on that, but I'm sure there are more kids than that.
Boys and girls?
Boys and girls, yeah. The headmistress, this is part of the classroom. She had an office in one of the buildings that new people had been built, and she had the office there. Another good news is that the zone, what do you call it, the ZGA, zone advisor, zone curriculum advisor, that's what they call, zone curriculum advisor. She had an office here in this building as well. And it is a privilege because she would be there assisting the teachers as well, who had been there for many years. Actually, some of the schools in Tana, they were so jealous. They didn't want the ZTA to locate it in Isla School. But the Isla School was so privileged. And she is also happy to be there because she has been teaching there for many years. And she has been a great help to the school in Islam.
When you go to worship, you sit around the outside of the area. When they go to school, do they sit one behind the other, or do they sit round the outside of the building, the inside, the wall of the building?
Inside the school, they had benches, which was built by the team who had been there many years ago. The one you saw them, they're standing outside during an assembly. They couldn't do the assembly in one of the classrooms. Every assembly where they always have together. It's outside under the mango tree, I suppose. And that's where they usually had their gathering. They didn't have a hall that could gather all the students in that area, in that school. And when they had classes, I think they had a very good benches, which had been built by our team here.
They have chairs or they sit down?
Chairs, yeah.
Okay.
This one is a new building that has been built by a community to accommodate 2 teachers. It had been split here in the middle. This side is for one teacher and this part is for another teacher. 2 teachers that had been walked in very long distance every morning, and the community had been graciously assist the school to have this built, and the teachers have already lived in that. At the time when I took this picture, it's not complete yet. Now they already moved in. It has been a blessing as well. With a little bit assistance from the government, with a grant that has been given, they managed to pay their photocopy machines and some materials for the local people in order to assist. Sitting here is all the parents who had been there during our visits when we go there, listening to our speeches. And that is the classroom. There's 1 and 2, am I right? Two buildings, is that? 2 buildings, yeah. This is our director for church development, Pastor Luz Warren. This is the headmistress, whom they have been discussing when I took their pictures. Okay, this one, back to Leniai. Because Isla School had been located in a long distance for the kids in Vanuatu, especially for the kids, especially in Kindi, you only allow them to walk, that is a regulations by the government, you will not allow them to walk for more than 2 kilometers. And especially where there is creek, water running or river, and it's very dangerous for kids to go to long distances if they had a river or something like that. So we had one kindi in Isla School, the one we have seen, and this one is locally structured at Lenai Church, just below, it's still in the compound of Lenai Church. It's just beside the church. And these local young people, they have built that. And I didn't take the picture when it's complete, but it has been complete. They have been using that. They've been using the same coconut leaves on top with local materials. So the kindi, you could imagine that the kids were sitting under this roof made with this structure and learn whatever the teachers trying to provide to them. This is one of Willie's son, and I think he's very happy not to go along with his father, especially in the mission. We've been there, and they come all the way from Imaram to Leniai to be part of our training, and his father was very happy. And I thought it's good to show you around Tana because you have been in love with Tana. And thank you very much for that. We usually say thank you to Mas. That's a way of thank you indeed or very much. Thank you to Mas. Sorry.
Thank you very very much, Richardson, for sharing those photographs. A bit more up to date. It's been 2 years now since we've been back to Tanner for a visit, so it was great to have an update. But there is more work to be done. It's wonderful to see the community taking ownership, and I know at GMP yesterday you were saying that it's very important that the community owns the facilities that are in the community, that they help to provide those facilities, and then they are committed to keeping them running, maintaining them, and bringing their children to school and bringing their children to worship and all of those things. So that was one of the points that you raised yesterday. It's very important that the community is now behind the school, whereas we know as a church, because we have followed the story of the school very closely in the last 6, 7 years, that it has had an up and down time in that time, but now the community is united in supporting the school. They know the children need to be at school, and they are prepared to help. Richardson's alluded to the fact that we had a meeting after GMP yesterday, Celebration Day. Some of us met with Richardson in particular. In his role as Secretary General, Richardson can advise and also direct discussions back to Vanuatu Conference to see what work in Vanuatu is a priority. And Richardson advised us that the school at Isla is a priority. It has been a school that hasn't been improved in terms of classrooms since 2008 when we were there and built the last 2 classrooms. There is need now, great need, for more accommodation for the students. Otherwise they cannot come to school. And you were telling us yesterday that the school is having a problem with more kids needing to be in school than can fit. So next year we propose, and Vanuatu Conference has come alongside the proposal and given us some advice, that if we can raise a team and raise some funds to go back to Tanner, back to Isla School, and increase capacity in that place by building probably another double classroom, providing sanitation in building some toilets in that place, because as you can imagine, with over 100 students and some staff, sanitation is a high need, and certainly some water storage tanks. So that's something we're looking at, and that will be something our church will be invited to become part of. So Elizabeth Church of Christ is picking that up. Victor Harbour, Richardson was at Goolwa this morning, and we are really, really encouraging Goolwa to be supporting it and being part of it. Richardson, one of your favourite words is partnering. The churches are partnering between Victor and Vanuatu and Australia, but we're partnering with the school as well, and Lenny I Church on Tanner in particular. I've just got a couple of other questions, and then there may be 1 or 2 things people want to know. But what I guess I was curious about, looking at all of that, which is on Tanner, and knowing that Tanner is only one of more than 80 islands that are inhabited, what is a big need or a big challenge for Vanuatu Churches of Christ now? Only a little question.
Thank you very much for the question. I guess there's so many needs, there's so many, but the priority at the moment, I could say leadership. Leadership among the churches in Vanuatu. Why I say that, we are working with Mobile Bible Training College. After many years now, the Banman Mat, we have heard about Banman Mat, is where our pastors have been trained. And it has been disputed, it has been closed for many years. And we are working on leadership, especially to train young people and those who had been working in the church for many years, not necessarily to be young people, but to take the position as a leader to pastor the church. Why I say that? Because, for instance, taking for Tanner. Then I have 5 churches or 4 churches, and they only have 1 pastor. 2 pastors are churches which were located in different areas, and that's Tana itself. But when we go to other islands, it's all the same. When you asked, where's all the other pastors? We had so many pastors who had been worked there for many years ago. They had been retired, and they are not movable. I mean, in a sense, they cannot go anywhere else like they usually do. And there is a challenge for leadership, especially or for a pastor who had been pastor at church, and he had 4 kids or 3 kids who had been in high school. He cannot pay their school fees. So what happened is that they're looking for green pastures. And they go, many of them, they go to New Zealand. Many of them, they quit leadership in the church. They had to do their own other businesses to support their family. And that has been a challenge. So many pastors, they served in 2, 3, 4 churches, and they would never pay. But they do that a full-time job. Maybe one who had pastored a church, he would only receive $5 or $50 for a month. They promised him to give him $50. By the end of the year, he would probably receive nothing. And they would only give him a word of thank you and a parcel of blah. Yeah, that's what we usually do.
Yep.
So it's a challenge for leadership. And we want more and more to train, but it's a challenge. How can we sustain them for a local church? Maybe that is our issues. It's to us, how can we tackle that? But that's a very big need, especially in terms of leadership. Where there is leader, there is always growth. And some churches, they only looked after by a deacon or an elder or a deaconess who look after church without a pastor who could continue give them spiritual nurturing and all this. And that has not been done, especially now. So the bigger needs now, it's all about leadership, getting more pastors or trained leaders to take up the roles. And it's a challenge. We have been talking all about this. How can a local church support its own church again? It's not that easy, but we need to do things.
So I guess for us here at Victor Harbour Church, I guess our question would be, or one question would be, how can churches such as us, how can we support the work of Churches of Christ in Vanuatu? You mentioned prayer, very, very vital. Are there other practical things? I mean, obviously we're looking at sending a team to do some practical work in a school, which is a Churches of Christ school. It's overseen by the Tanna Island Conference now. They have responsibility. Are there other ways that we as a church can support, or we as Australian Churches of Christ can support Vanuatu Churches of Christ? Don't be shy, ask.
Thank you. Not only with, in Vanuatu, we had so many communities from Australia who had been supporting the Churches of Christ in Vanuatu in many ways. We've got Churches of Christ in Queensland, had been Toowoomba, had been supporting the Central Pentecost. In Central Pentecost, we had preschools, we had primary school, like in Tana. They have been supporting that area in many ways as well, like you people who had been decided now to do with Tana Island. Central Pentecost is, like in Vanuatu, we are divided into what do you call it? Provinces, yeah. And in the, our structure is like conference office is on top. Then we go down, we had island conferences. Then further down, we have area councils. And then we have local churches. Local churches or area councils formed with several local churches. Island conference is every churches in that island. So Whitcourt Church, particularly, he is supporting the area of Pentecost, the center of Pentecost. We encourage the churches in Australia not to support a particular pastor who pastor a local church, but maybe he can support a pastor who pastored several churches. That will be fair to other places. Like with Whitcourt Church, they support a particular pastor in Central Pentecost who look after the several churches. And at the same time, they helped in the community in other areas as well, like the school, I told you, primary schools, health, they've been doing that, the preschool, they've been doing that. Abidal team in also in Queensland, they also, for many years now, they've been in partnership with Ranwadi High School. They've been supporting Ranwadi High School for many years. Was that, I forgot his name, Alan Miller. Alan Miller, he's the one who's taking the mission, the ministry, that Amidal team to go to Ranwadi over and over again. They have been supported very well. And Benval is a community as well, somewhere in Queensland, I'm not sure where. By the name of Pastor Greg Mala. Pastor Greg Mala, he led a team there to North Mumbai. And he had been ministered, and he had been supporting the community in North Mumbai with sending second-hand, to sell some clothes to assist the community in its running and all other things. And there's another community in New South Wales, if I'm right. The short teams, youth teams or something like that, they usually go to Maibo Island. They have been developed in assisting the community in Maibo Island. That's another island. There are so many islands throughout Vanuatu, and I didn't want you to go and assist every island, but you can do it in many other ways. Like now, I understand the Elizabeth Church and the churches here, they love to assist Tana, and that is very good. Because when you assist Tana, it's not only the Lenai, but every churches that we mentioned here, about 5 or 4 of them, have been in that island, the island conference of Tana. And that is great. And it's our challenge in Vanuatu how to sustain our pastors. If you are sustaining one of the pastors in the island conference, or the coordinator, like Pastor Sam, in Tana, he's the coordinator, but he's been sponsored by the churches in Port Vila. And that is very good. We encourage the local churches to be a missionaries in itself in the island to support other churches as well. And that doesn't stop you to do that, but we really encourage to work closer with you. We've been having discussions with the Kiwi churches for us to work together so that it cannot duplicate all our associations or the works that we are doing. Kiwi Link or Kiwi churches, they're very keen to support as well. And I think we're going to have a meeting to talk all about this, to see things running smoothly, so that you cannot do the same thing that they have been doing, and what they're doing is what they concentrate on, and what you're doing, that's what you're going to concentrate on, so that we cannot duplicate it on the works that we're doing. But I really appreciated the community of Tana who had been supporting the school. Just recently, the community had completed fencing the school. It was very good. In the past years, we had some hiccups, especially with the land and all this, but now it has been fixed. The landowner said, I'm willing to extend the land for the school. If the school continue to grow, I have other land as well to give to the school to extend that. And that is great.
What do the people of Tanna, how do they earn money? What do they work at?
I didn't have some pictures here, but I do have some pictures, but it's in my... they earn money. Most of the people in Tanna, they're very good in farming. They send lots of vegetables in the market. They would sell taro, they would sell bananas and all vegetables. If you go to Tanna market, it's all about vegetables and all greens and all these things. They would have huge gardens. Every day they continue to sell. That's how they earn money. And a couple of them, they had shops in Lenakel. And most of them, especially Willie, which we are talking about, he had a very, very good plan, especially to sustain the Imarab Church. He had a farm of coffee, and he had a huge coffee, and he had been selling coffee for many years now. And his plan is that through the coffee and through sandalwoods that he had planted will be harvested. In some years later, his plan is to build the permanent building for Imarab Church. But at the moment, they're still using that. And he had a very, very dedicated heart for the churches in Imarab. That's the new church I'm talking about. And many of them, Tanna was well known as well for coffee. They had lots and lots of families who had plant sandalwoods. They've been making a very good money out of that. But most of the families, they do backyard gardening, so they would walk several kilometers to have gardens. And that's where they usually lived on. They didn't have supermarkets like we usually have. And the backyard gardening is what they've been surviving.
Now, how far do people have to go if they want to go to Bible college? Are they kind of...
Oh yeah, thank you for asking that. We have been asking, we have been discussing that in the past meeting, because our Bible college is located in the northern side. It's very far from Tanna, and it's very expensive. We've been decided that sometimes next year, the principal for this Bible college would go in certain months or so to go and take the training to Tanna instead of them coming over, because at the moment they already have 6 candidates who had been interested to go to Bible college training. And it's a need at the moment. It's a need at the moment how to take to finance the training to reach them, especially to pay a fare for principal for mobile Bible training to go to them. And we planned that when usually the mobile Bible college training is, they had several modules, and every quarter they had 2 weeks training. And they had to have, they had to have about 8 modules, I think, to complete the certificate part of that. And Tanna, we couldn't be able to fly them over to the northern area. Usually they located in Santo. And we wanted to assist the principal to go to Tanna, stay there for 2 months or so, and she can maybe train them and completed maybe half of the module or so. Then come back, then continue to go back again in another month to complete the modules in several months. Rather than flying them back and forth for many times, it will be more expensive.
If you want to donate money, is it like just is this like for children? Is it? Sorry, a bit hard to explain.
Jason, we could have a chat afterwards. We can talk about it. There are different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any more?
thank you, Richardson, for all of that. And we, as a church, have wanted to support Vanuatu churches for some time and will continue to do so. So thank you for coming and spending some time and putting a face to the name. We can talk about Richardson and we can talk about Vanuatu, but to have someone come and represent the Vanuatu churches is marvellous. So thank you very much. And we will continue our association, our partnership, as Global Mission Partners are very keen to label them, a partnership between churches, one church to another, and a lot of sharing that happens in that partnership. So thank you.